Hi folks, this is just kind of a catch-all little presentation. We finished up our first week's work and have kind of a long view overview of the history of photography, and now we're going to start going into depth in chronological order, more or less. So things have surfaced throughout the week, and I would like to use this as an opportunity to talk about them. One of them is that a sharp-eyed student was looking at the syllabus and found out that it was asking for the third or the fourth edition of our textbook. And when they went to the bookstore, guess what? The bookstore had a brand new edition, which is called the 5th edition. So I immediately sent out a call for help, and the department got on the stick, and I now have the new book here. Just at a glance through, I believe mainly what they did was they added to the more contemporary end of photography. And I think the page numbers are going to be pretty close. So when you're looking at your assignments that I give you, I'm going to be giving you both page numbers for the earlier 3rd and 4th and for the 5th. You do not need to have the 5th for the class. You can make it with the 3rd or the 4th. When you get to university, they will list required books and also supplemental books, and some instructors will require you to have more than one textbook. I'm not going to require this, but I know that several of you have expressed a desire to complete a degree in photography, and this book is very inexpensive compared to the textbook. It's by Tom Ang, and you may remember that Tom Ang is author of many how-to do photography books. So I was kind of excited when I saw him come out with this book, because it's more of a popular type. Our textbook is definitely academic, but in his book it's more of a magazine layout, and you're going to see things that you will not see in our textbook. So I will be probably borrowing a page or two, a quote or two at times from this book. And like I say, I'm not asking you to go out and buy it, but if you're building up a library, if you're trying to kind of have a professional library, and this is a very readable kind of book. So it's by Tom Ang, and I believe it was about $35, which is a steal for a good book. Now, a couple of you are dealing with Apple products, and you're turning in assignments using the Pages document. In the syllabus, it asks you to have Microsoft Word. And I can sometimes get your pages to open up, and sometimes I can't get them to open up. So it has me jumping back and forth between my PC and my Apple. And I would appreciate you guys if you're going to turn in an assignment, do not turn it in pages. Perhaps you can turn it in as a PDF document, something that's cross-platform and something that I can read. Let's see, discussion. Oh, so the new assignment under modules is going to actually be pre-photography. In your mind, pictures of family trees, they're always these big pieces of paper, and they have roots, and they have a stem, and then they have all these branches. The first assignment that we're going to do this week has to do with the family tree of photography. Photography did not just pop out of the blue. It is a part of the visual arts, and so I'm going to ask you to use a very nice user-friendly timeline to take a look at the last 500, 600 years of art, and then you're going to have a frame of reference. When photography got started, many photographers drew on inspiration from earlier painters and earlier styles. So that's what this assignment is about. Let's see. Now, time management is always an issue for everybody. I don't care if you're a student or whether you're whoever you are. You have to keep track of deadlines, and you have to keep track of how are you going to plan to get your assignments done on time. And I dropped a hint earlier, and I said that I love to grade as you finish your assignment. So if something is due on Wednesday night and you finish it Tuesday night, don't sit on it. Please turn it in. That allows me to have a more leisurely opportunity to make comments for you. So keep track of the clock. Canvas calendar is a great thing. It shows what's due and when it's due, but make sure that you plan for it. I appreciate the early turn-ins. Most art history classes will have you do a term paper, and I'm going to ask you to convert that term paper idea into a special project. It's something that I want you to work on over the course of the semester. I don't want you to just be jamming it together at the last minute. So I will start to publish some due dates, and the first due date is going to be that you pick your special project. Now, from my own training and my own college experience, I hated it when an instructor said, you have to turn in a term paper on this topic. I always appreciated when somebody would say, we're studying British literature. I would like you to turn in a term paper about something in British literature that resonates with you. So I found that to be very accommodating, and I didn't object to that kind. So I'm going to ask you to think about, what is your interest in the history of photography? What is your interest in photography in general? Let's say that you are a general ed student and you're in the medical field, you're in nursing or something like that. I have had those types of students turn in wonderful presentations about the history of medical imaging. And you'd be surprised how early it got started, how the camera was being used, and how the camera evolved into X-ray and then into CAT scans, etc. So I have had business students. They're not photography students. I've had business students, and they got into a special project that had to do with visuals in advertising and marketing, and how that changed over the years, and who were some famous commercial photographers, and what kind of equipment did they use. So what I'm hoping, and now guys, if you're a photo major, then you may want to pick a certain style. You're a street photographer, your heart is in street photography. Maybe you want to do your special project on street photography. Who got that started? What kind of equipment were they using? How did it evolve? Who are some of the prime figures today that people look up to in that sort of thing? Or you may want to go tech. You may want to go all technical. You may want to get into advances in the darkroom, because so much of the interest these days is in retro photography. And several of you have mentioned the fact that you like to go into the darkroom. So guess what? There is a history to all the instrumentation, all the devices, all of the chemistry, and you could get into that. And that's going to help you when you get your hands on darkroom chemicals and darkroom equipment, or even better, when you decide to build your own. My art teacher always said the mark of a true artist is when they start modifying their tools and making their own tools. And definitely, if you're into darkroom work, there's all kinds of DIY projects and recipes for different types of developers, fixers, and other chemistry. So the special project, if you're having any problems determining what it is, one way you can do it is just grab your textbook and flip through the pages and look at the pictures. And all of a sudden you might find, oh, this section right here, this one really has me interested, okay? And maybe you're looking at child labor, Lewis Hine. We haven't studied them yet, but you've got a big clue when you are paging through something and you're kind of yawning about this picture and saying, oh hum, about that picture. And then finally you say, oh, wait a minute, this is something good right here. So maybe that could be a clue to what your special project is going to be. So I want you to be thinking about that, and we'll have an assignment where you'll have to declare your special project, and that's coming up probably within the next week. So be thinking about that. A couple of things. Make sure that when you're doing your research and viewing videos, make sure that you have your logbook. You're putting down the dates, and you're putting down the time, and you're putting down the activity. And keep that in one part of your notebook so that you can see your logbook growing. Don't forget about your flashcards. I just had so much fun putting together all of my deck of flashcards. Okay, these are going to be important for you as we go along. You're going to memorize 3 or 4 a week until we get to 16 weeks. We'll have all 30 pictures. So, notebook can be pop quizzed. I can say submit a picture of your notebook. That's a pop quiz, so that may be coming. Now, online instruction, we always worry about what's called cut and paste editing. So a student is rushed, they're at the last minute, and they say, how am I going to turn this paper in on time? They go to a website, they find relevant information, they copy it, they paste it, they might change a few words, and then they turn it in. So that is verboten, that's forbidden, that's a no-no. I don't want you to do that. Okay. Now, what I do want you to do is use your own words, and then at the bottom of your, or at the top of your document that you turn in, I want you to have a statement of authenticity, and that is in your syllabus. There is an example of a statement of authenticity, and it's just another firewall against plagiarism, and we want you to be doing the right thing. Okay, lastly, I'm doing an experiment this semester, and by the way, this is totally at your interest. If you want to do this, please do it. If you are a busy person, if you don't have any interest in it, skip it. Don't even worry about it. We have a discussion tab in Canvas, and I love to hear people talk, cross-talk, back and forth. When I'm grading a paper and I write something big, like on portfolios, then sometimes I'll go into discussion and I'll copy what I wrote to one student and publish it so that other students can look at it and make comments on it. So that's a really nice thing. It's totally optional. I know some Canvas teachers require how many interactions. I'm not going to do that, but I hope that you do that. So this, I'm extending it. So this time out, I've created a group in Flickr, and it's called the GPH115. Somehow or another, it's got Glendale photo history and 115 in it. Okay, the GPH115 group. And I've already picked up one member. Yay, yay. This will be a space for people who want to share photographs. And the main topic of this group is going to be photographs that either you've taken in the past that demonstrate a type of photography that we're studying, or reacting against a type of photography that we're studying, some sort of creative reinterpretation. Or it could be a place for you to get kind of a game going with yourself and say, okay, every time I learn about something new, like pictorialism, I'm going to go grab my camera and I'm going to try and create a pictorialist type of picture, or a New Vision type of picture, or an F64 type of picture. And I'm going to put it up on Flickr, and maybe we'll have 3 or 4, I don't know, maybe we'll have 10 different people, but there is no grading attached to this. This is not a requirement. This is just an extension of the discussion. So I hope it will work for you, and I'll probably put up an announcement about how to make a Flickr account. Pretty darn easy. How to upload some pictures if you're not familiar with it. And I made it an open group. I know that maybe somebody would try and hack it, but so far my open groups have been very safe. Haven't worried about it. So if you're on Flickr already, you can join the group and share some pictures, and I look forward to that. So onward and upward.